Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful week this week. Hope you continue to be blessed by your time in God's Word. I just wanted to come on today with a little reminder. I know it's easy sometimes as we get bogged down in the stories or in the genealogies, but the stories of war and violence and lots of things that we're maybe not sure how to make sense out of them. And it's easy to lose sight of the fact that the Bible is one big story that's all leading to Jesus. And some days, as we read, I think it's harder to see Jesus than others, but I believe he's there on every page, and everything we're reading is preparing us for him. And one of the ways we are prepared for Jesus, one of the ways that we see the Bible as a unified story, is in these series of unified promises that are all leading to Jesus. We heard about that first promise in Genesis 3, when Eve was promised that one of her ancestors, one of her offspring, would crush the head of Satan. We know that's what Jesus did on the cross. We read about that promise of Jesus to people like Abraham, right? Who's going to become the father of many nations, who one of his seed, one of his offspring too, would come to bless all people. Of course, that's Jesus. A little bit later on, we'll see this prophecy made to King David in 2 Samuel 7, where David is promised that one of his sons will reign in his place and rule over the people and will be the king that the people long for and need. And then this past week in Deuteronomy 18, we heard about another one of those important promises. God promised that he will raise up for his people a prophet like Moses. And this is what he said in Deuteronomy 18:17. The Lord said to me, "What they say is good. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their fellow Israelites, and I will put my words in his mouth. He will tell them everything I command him. I myself will call to account anyone who does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name." God is promising that someone even better than Moses is coming, someone who will speak for his people and tell them what they need to hear. And all along the way, as we read these prophecies, you read the story of Eve or Abraham or David or Moses in this case, and you immediately start to get your hopes up. Because in most cases, very quickly, there's someone that arrives on the scene that you might think is the one who fulfills that promise. Like Eve is promised a child who will crush Satan's head, and then she has a baby, and you think maybe this is it. But then, of course, their children fight, and one kills the other. Uh, Abraham has a son, Isaac. You might think that he is the one who will bless all people, but that doesn't turn out to be the case. David has a son, Solomon, who actually does some wonderful things, who grows the kingdom. But Solomon has plenty of flaws too, and isn't the king that the people truly need. And same is true in this case. Moses, we're promised that God will raise up a prophet like Moses, and you might think that Moses' successor, Joshua, is the man. He does lead the people into the promised land after all, and yet things are far from perfect there too. In all of these cases, it looks like maybe God won't keep his promise. Like things aren't going to work out. And yet we remember that all of these promises are leading to Jesus, not to Cain, not to Solomon, not to Isaac, not to Joshua. No, this is one big story, and it's all leading us to Jesus. And what we see in that, I think, is a picture of God's faithfulness, that God does keep these promises. It took centuries, and we're an impatient people. But we can learn to trust God patiently because we see that He has been faithful in the course of history. In all of these stories that we're reading, we can see that God is faithful even when it looks like it's impossible, right? When His people are hurting each other and murdering one another and falling into all sorts of sin, that God overcomes His sinful people to keep His eternal promises. And again, this is one big story, all leading to Jesus. I hope that you can continue to see that and you continue to be blessed by your time in God's Word. Thanks for watching today. I'll see you all next time.